This is Baal, the demon the rich sacrifice children to. Thousands of years ago, people in the ancient Middle East prayed to Baal for rain. Without rain, crops died. Without crops, people starved. To them, Baal was not evil. He was survival. His name literally meant Lord, but everything changed when his rivals rose. In the Bible, Baal became the enemy. Prophets like Elijah challenged his priests, and his image slowly turned from God into demon. In places like Carthage, archaeologists found burned remains of children. Some historians believe they were sacrifices to gods like Baal or Moloch. Others say the truth is still debated. Today you may hear stories that the rich still worship Baal, but most historians see Baal as a forgotten storm god, reshaped by fear, politics, and time, transformed from a symbol of life into a lasting symbol of darkness and mystery.
We must ensure stability in the markets.
The recent mandates have been effective.
The people are compliant.
The author of the Bible is in the title. It is by Baal. And I can prove this to you because the scriptures are actually written about the zodiacs. This is why Moses is depicted with horns throughout history, because Moses is representative of the end of the age of Taurus, the bull, the Baal. This is why in the Bible everyone talks about it has to be a different God of the Old Testament than it is in the New Testament, because it is. It's a different age. That was the old God, the Taurus, the Baal, the bull. Then we moved on to Jesus, who is the fisher of man. This is the age of Pisces. Pisces, 2 fish, 2 pieces of the pie. This is why Jesus was able to feed the masses with 2 fish, the fisher of men. And you could trace this back all the way to Zeus. The age before Taurus, the bull, the Baal, was Gemini. Gemini represents Zeus's twins, the twinta, the winter. This is how it goes through history. Everything that we know is based upon the zodiacs. This is the Bible and the Zodiac, part 1. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the content. If you did, go ahead and drop a like, drop a comment if you knew that the Bible was written about the zodiacs. I mean, a lot of people knew about Jesus being the fisher of men in Pisces, but I just made this Moses connection with the bull, the Baal. That's why the Bible was written by Baal. And as always, peace.
No fucking way. Alright, so there's no way that this Netanyahu guy, this Israel prime minister, president, whatever the fuck he is, you know what I'm sizzling? He's literally saying now that Iran burning a statue of Baal is a declaration of war. Let's see, you send a couple strikes into a different country, that's pretty much war, Bubba, you know what I'm sizzling? But peep this, for those of you that don't know, Baal is literally king demon. That is basically Satan's right-hand man. If you want to talk about any demons, any bad, evil, if you do know who and what Baal is, the whole sacrifices of you know what, the thing that's being talked about a lot in those files, that's what those sacrifices are towards that. So Mr. Netanyahu, Google, whatever the hell your name is, that's a declaration of war? What? Well, say it without saying it, Bubba.
The Baal room, not the ballroom, the Baal room. So as you all know, in ancient tradition, Baal was a god of power and fertility and control. Baal promised protection and order and abundance, but only if people surrendered to him. Not love, but submit. And that's exactly what happens in this ballroom. Jack enters the ballroom broke and insignificant. And the room answers him by making him feel important, by making him feel chosen and seen. And it lures him in by saying, "You've always been the caretaker." That's not flattery for Jack, that's his initiation into the Baal room. Jack is being told in this scene he doesn't have to change anything. He just has to maintain what was, what already exists. And that's how this elite worship structure works. You don't question anything. You just become a part of it. Baal doesn't demand belief. The ancient god demands you continue the process. Jack wants to feel important, and the Overlook is offering him something way more ancient. Something bigger and larger and definitely unchallenged. Baal is allowing the past to keep welcoming Jack. And the horror of the scene is that he accepts the invitation to the Baal room. We can talk about The Shining for the next 100 years and not even scratch the surface. What do you think the meaning of the ballroom is with Jack? Drop a comment down below. And don't forget to follow, like, share, and favorite for more deep dives.
They've tricked everyone into worshipping their god, Baal. It is not just a golden calf anymore, now it is your celebrities and ball players. Like Bella Hadid, the fashion idol for so many young children, right? How about you spell it out slowly? That's Bala Hadad. Even her sister's fine ass is in on it. Gigi stands for Earth Worker, so this is Gigi Hadad, Earth Worker of Hadad, Earth Worker of Baal. We have Baal and Siaga, Bala Hadad. The Met Gala, the Met is actually like the first place that they had this at. So it's really called the Gala Ball. Gala means to rejoice, rejoice in Ball. Lucille Ball, Lucy, Fred, Ethel, Ricky, Lucy, F-E-R, I love Lucifer, I love Lucy, baseball. This company spelt backwards is Rezip. And in Hebrew, that means God of the underworld or God of plagues. And then the reason why all these artists like Lil Nas have that Lil in front of them is because that is paying homage to Enlil, who is Lucifer. We have our fan favorite, the Bible, and the author, as we know, is in the title. It is By Ball. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the content. If you did, go ahead and drop a like, drop a comment. If you knew that there was so much evil hidden in plain sight, because, I mean, that whole Lucille Ball thing, that's crazy. That's crazy. And as always, peace.
How every sport references what god or what deity.
What?
Remember we were talking about the cowhead is named Baal. Baseball. Oh, think about it, man. Baseball. Basketball, fam.
No,
yeah.
fam.
It might actually be something more than we think.
Everything demonic.
Because obviously it's just a ball, like the ball of thing. But that's also the name of the god that they worship, bro.
Yeah.
That's why it's weird as fuck.
Yeah. I believe that with baseball because how it started too, because it was all like when Jackie Robinson first came in, like they kind of disrupted the whole culture, and then like that's when it went to, you know what I mean? Yeah, but we don't want to get too deep on that, but you get what I'm going there?
It's really interesting.
I get that.
I think that's the whole purpose of sports is for us to kind of put that energy into something.
Yeah.
Right? If you release all of your, I guess, spiritual energy
somewhere else
or motivational energy into a sport that we created, we can control where you put the energy.
Yeah.
Instead of you putting into, who knows, worshiping God.
True.
What if one of the oldest gods never really disappeared? Fun fact before this video starts. This god was mentioned in the Quran, but let's go. His name was Baal, and he was known as the god of storms and rain. In ancient lands like Canaan, people believed he controlled life itself, because without rain, crops died. And so did people, so they built altars and prayed for his favor. But in religious texts, Baal worship was strongly condemned. Over time, Baal became more than just a god. He became a symbol of false worship and being led away from truth. And as I speak right now, he is still openly being worshipped. But some believe the idea of Baal exists, just in different forms.
Corn is an important symbol in Masonry and is one found repeatedly in Washington, D.C. But what sort of hidden meaning could apply to corn? In Hebrew, the word for corn is Dagan, which became the name of a Babylonian god. Some believe the same god was adopted by the Phoenicians under the name Dagon. While Dagon was often worshipped as the fish god, he was also the god of corn. His son was known as Baal, who was often called the son of Dagon or the son of corn. Could Baal have been the model for the bearded male images that appear throughout Washington, D.C.? Take note of this image, with ears of corn carved into the hair. According to legend, Baal was once slain by the god of death and taken into the underworld. But at some point, he was resurrected, or as it is sometimes called, awakened. At Haines Point in Washington, D.C. is found this mysterious statue of a bearded giant rising up out of the ground. The statue is called the Awakening.
See, you should take this man very seriously. You know, I've been watching his videos. He is straight up the devil's advocate. I don't care what anybody says. And see, there's many lords throughout Earth. They're all over the place. He was centralized for the United States, St. John, Virgin Islands. See, when someone erects a temple, wherever it is on Earth, take it very seriously. See, right now we're just in the little minor leagues when it comes to obeying God and worshiping God and doing all its normal rituals. We're like little children that forgot who we are. And now we're paying the consequences. All these temples throughout Earth weren't built for cosplay. They were very real. It wasn't that you didn't believe in God back then. It's whose God? You see, there was Baal lords through.
He was not just a businessman. He was a dark sorcerer. And his island was not a paradise. It was a ritual ground. And the most powerful people in the world were lining up to participate.
Island, there was a temple, covered in ancient pagan symbols, owl statues on top, sacred geometry everywhere. This was not a music room. Underneath, there were tunnels,
And the darkest ancestral rituals were performed underground, far from any witness. His bookshelf was full of occult texts, invocation manuals, energy harvesting techniques, books that most witches would never dare to open. This was not just crime, this was ceremonial. They were harvesting innocent energy to feed something ancient, and it was always hungry. Then they caught him, and suddenly the cameras stopped working. The guards fell asleep, and he was gone. The man who had the names of the most powerful people on the planet disappeared from the most watched building in America, and nobody asked questions. Millions of documents were released. Names, flights, visits. But no one was punished, because the people on that list are protected by ancient pacts and blood oaths, the kind of forbidden magic that witches have warned about for centuries.
There's Epstein's master bedroom that had a camera facing his bed and the same blue and white striped design as his temple on Little St. James Island. And speaking of that temple, what did Epstein use his temple for? It was built soundproof, with locks to keep people in, not out. And it also had large gold owl statues, which often represent Moloch, the god of child sacrifice. After Epstein died, his island was still heavily surveilled with armed security. And those owl statues, well, for some reason, the statues and the Golden Dome were removed after the FBI raided the island. And then there's another Epstein place that rarely gets mentioned in mainstream media, his huge property in New Mexico called the Zorro Ranch. Epstein used to take his victims there, and most of those politicians and celebrities you saw in the photographs with Epstein in his Manhattan townhouse all visited this ranch multiple times. What's also strange is that Zorro Ranch wasn't even named in Epstein's New York U.S. District Court indictment. The indictment mentions his homes in Palm Beach and the Upper East Side, but the feds completely ignored the existence of Zorro Ranch. And you know what's even more suspicious? Out of all Epstein's creepy properties, the feds never raided Zorro Ranch. And this place wasn't just a house, it was a fortress in the middle of nowhere, with a private airstrip, endless desert around it, and staff who controlled who came and went like they were guarding state secrets. Even the U.S. Attorney General in New Mexico admitted they basically had zero zero access. And then there's the really weird stuff. Epstein used to brag to scientists about this disturbing plan to seed the human race by impregnating women at the ranch. He had a hidden lab at the ranch and underground tunnels where he brought scientists to do experiments on girls. According to Business Insider, Epstein told scientists that the idea was to impregnate 20 women at a time by inseminating them with his material. Apparently, Epstein had an obsession with eugenics and transhumanism, and he believed he belonged to a superior race. Epstein's victim, Maria Farmer, even claimed that both Epstein and his accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell often talked about how their DNA was superior.
To go get food. And when I called Ghislaine and asked why I couldn't eat there, she said, "It's a Jewish country club. You're not Jewish. They're not going to serve you." This is how this woman spoke to me. Yeah, this is how these people think, Whitney. They, honest to God, think their DNA is better than everybody else's. I swear to you. It was a theme all the time with them. With Eileen Guggenheim, with, Jeffrey Epstein, with Ghislaine. It was a theme.
Does everyone else think it's a nice Jewish family? From the outside, you appear to be a nice Jewish girl.
Definitely.
And you all are worshiping the devil inside the home?
Right. There's other Jewish families across the country. It's not just my own family.
Really? Things. You don't have to give us the gory details, but what kinds of things went on in the family?
Well, there would be rituals in which babies would be sacrificed, and you would have to,
Whose babies?
There were people who bred babies in our family. No one would know about it. A lot of people were overweight, so you couldn't tell if they were pregnant or not, or they would supposedly go away for a while and then come back.
Anyway, so you witnessed the sacrifice?
Right. When I was very young, I was forced to participate in that, in which I had to sacrifice an infant.
And the purpose of sacrifice is to what? Is to bring you what? What are you sacrificing for?
For power.
Power.
I am Jeff Epstein's niece. My father and stepmother had a baby girl in 1991 who was raised by another family. In 1998, they assigned me her birth date on my birth certificate, which they waited 10 years to file, claiming my stepmother was my biological mother, and finally put me in school in the gifted program. My parents were upstanding citizens. My father was a divorce attorney. It goes back for generations. I remember my father confessing that my oldest brother is 8 years younger than him. They told me that we belonged to the cult of Baal. My great-grandfather, according to my father, was Walt Disney. Before he moved to the United States, his name was Artur Bick, and his twin sister, who he had children with, who I am descended from, was named Minnie. That's where we get Mickey and Minnie Mouse. It's very cute, right? Except for when you consider the abuse that I suspect is still happening to children who go into the entertainment industry.
Another effigy of Baal was burnt on March 7, 2026, this time outside the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City in the Polanco district. Around 60 people gathered, and it remained mostly peaceful, similar to the 3 Baal statues that were burned in Iran on February 11th. Which happened 12 days after the Epstein files were released and 17 days before the war began. During the demonstration, participants waved Iranian flags, prayed for peace in the Middle East, and held up signs condemning the US and this country for their actions against Iran. Some were holding photos of Khamenei. They also created 2 piñatas of these 2 characters here that they smashed. They also had torn flags from these 2 countries. Authorities reported no major incidents happened. If you want to know the history of Baal or Baal, I have a video on my page.
Big woke. So you see the caution tape on the chair, right? Y'all gotta see this shit. Look at this shit, bro. Going down, y'all. So the crime scene tape, it say Balenciaga. They trying to insinuate that a crime took place in this young child's room. What kind of abuse and crime took place here, though? Look, though, if you scroll down and look at the tape they got on the floor, they done misspelled Balenciaga, their own brand. They did this shit deliberately. They done put Balenciaga, Balenciaga. Now, what do Baal? Baal, a demon from the lesser keys of Solomon, a fertility god. You sacrifice your kids to Baal. Look at this. This is all allegedly, TikTok. Look at the demon god Baal. Oh, yes, Lord. Oh. From the 72 demons, keys of Solomon. But look what happened when you translate this shit, though, y'all, from Latin to English. Balenciaga in Latin means Baal is the king. You can go to Google and type this shit in for yourself. When you just put Balenciaga in the motherfucker, that shit say act like an angel. So whole time they telling you what happened right here, though. Look at the demon pictures in the background. Ooh, this who we really be dealing with, Mo. Y'all be wanting some type of love and motherfucking some type of compassion, some type of motherfucking remorse, and don't know you dealing with a whole demon god. I got on Louis. Look, you know this shit probably. Wonder what Louis Vuitton mean. This right here though is mean though. Translate Latin to English. Balenciaga is Baal is the king. Damn, they talking about this Baal though. This is all allegedly and for entertainment purposes only. Tahuti really broke this shit down though, and Ben told y'all endless demons stayed from when the first time they ripped a hole in the.
I've always been a little bit confused about who Baal is and what he's about, and did he even actually start off that evil, or was he just demonized? So let's look into it. So he actually started off being worshipped for storms, fertility, rain, and agriculture, and was likened to pretty much being the same deity as Zeus, and I'd just like to point out that's pretty much the same deity as Odin as well, which I mentioned in a previous post. So how did Baal go from that to being the king of the demons in hell, and Zeus got to stay as Zeus? What I don't think helped matters was a lot of people that worshipped him decided sacrifice was the best way to appease him, and that includes animal and otherwise. Then that was followed up by the Bible declaring him as a false idol. So whatever religions, evil ones have adopted him as their person of worship, thinking that he's a demon, are definitely worshipping a different entity. There's no way that the king of hell is a guy that's in charge of fertility, agriculture, and rain. Because if that was the case, then both Zeus and Odin would have been demonized as well. Let me know what you think in the comments.
What is your problem?
Just that, sir.
Okay.
I'm a Christian, sir.
I'm pure and virtuous and wholesome and innocent. How can you say anything about me?
Sir, you need to be born again.
I am born again.
Now, did you just say that you are Lucifer?
I am Lucifer.
Okay, define Lucifer for me.
Pure, virtuous, wholesome, innocent individual that's out to help people.
Lucifer is?
Yeah.
Say that again. Lucifer is a pure, holy...
Virtuous.
Virtuous. Now, is he the Lucifer that God created?
That's the same one.
Oh, man, this is great. I'm going to put this on the internet.
Oh,
Amen.
God bless you,
Amen.
brother.
Because that's exactly what the Shriners and Masons teach, is that Lucifer is light.
No.
And you're
about
confirming
those hospitals?
It.
They
You know what, sir? Jesus said, many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, we did not do these good deeds in your name. And you'll say, away from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you.
Jesus said it?
In Matthew chapter 5.
Mercy.
No.
That's hard to believe.
So you're a Christian and you don't know that. Actually,
No, I really am.
You are.
Because I'm pure and virtuous.
You're pure and virtuous, okay, yeah. In other words, you're perfect without Jesus, right?
No.
Okay, tell me about Jesus. Who is Jesus?
Oh, right. He's my leader.
Is he the Son of God?
Yes, he
is. Is he the only worshipful master?
Yes.
Have you ever been called worshipful master?
No, because I've just been too busy. I've been working.
Working
to help people.
Did y'all see this? So this thing was in the sky last night, and there's a whole bunch of different people that all caught the same recording. And no, it's not a star. You're gonna see it move pretty quick. But look at that. Does that not look like an egg with a serpent wrapping around it? You remember that video that I just made? Very odd, right? It's obviously something super spiritual in the sky. And now it's gonna go behind the house so you know that it's actually, you know, a moving thing and not a star. It's just wild how bright it was as well. You can see right here it starts descending. That's insane. You know, like the Lightbringer. You can't tell me they're not the same thing, or they look very, very, very similar. So, did you know that every 4 years on this day today, they do the ritual of Osiris going down the river? Do you see the big black thing? And when that happens, they try to summon the spirit of Osiris, much like when they said that they were summoning the eggs. They try to summon the spirit of Osiris into the person who was stepping into position on this day. Like this. This is George Washington, literally deified in heaven on the Capitol Dome. Again, man into God, possibly? Yeah. Everything in this world goes back to Rome, to Egypt, to Babylon. It's all the same exact thing. Let me know what you guys think about this down below. I'm pretty sure I know what that is.
What if the Bible disproves itself? And what if Lucifer isn't the villain, but the key to unlocking the biggest lie in history? I'm not a religious person, but spare me a minute, because this might blow your mind. What if the Bible, the book that billions trust, is actually hiding the truth in plain sight? And what if Lucifer wasn't evil, but the ultimate rebel, punished for bringing humanity the one thing we value most? Knowledge. Let's start with the facts straight from the Bible. Isaiah chapter 45 verse 7. It says, I form the light and create darkness. I bring prosperity and create disaster. Think about that for a second. God admits to creating both light and darkness, good and evil. So why do we call Lucifer the villain? If God is all-powerful, doesn't that make him responsible for everything, including the rebellion? Here's another curveball. In Genesis, God places Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and forbids them from eating the fruit of knowledge. Why? Wouldn't knowledge make them better, smarter, more aware? And then comes Lucifer, the serpent, whispering, take it, open your eyes. And when they do, they become aware of good, evil, choice, and consequences. Now, here's the kicker. Genesis chapter 3, verse 22. After they eat the fruit, God says, behold, the man has become like one of us, knowing good and evil. Wait, like us? Who is us? And does that mean Lucifer told the truth? Because last I checked, the serpent didn't lie. God did. Let's keep going. Revelation chapter 22, verse 16, calls Jesus the bright morning star. But here's the twist. The same title, morning star, is given to Lucifer in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. Are they the same figure? Or is it just a cosmic coincidence? Either way, this blurs the line between savior and rebel, doesn't it? And here's where it all comes together. Throughout history, figures like Lucifer, Prometheus, and Quetzalcoatl are demonized for one thing: giving humanity forbidden knowledge. They're not destroyers, they're givers, offering enlightenment at a price. But the question is, why are we taught to fear the ones who set us free? Maybe because control thrives on ignorance. The more you fear, the more you obey. What if the Bible wasn't designed to reveal the truth, but to obscure it, to make us afraid of questioning authority, even when the answers are right in front of us? So what do you think? Is Lucifer the villain we've been taught to fear, or the light bringer humanity desperately needed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and follow for more dives into the secrets of the gods.
Are you still trying to figure out who that really is? Even after my first video where I make a pretty convincing case that this is no coincidence. But if you're still not convinced, hang on to your seats because I got some new information, and it all stems from this beautiful statue constructed in 1848. You see, that statue is actually a statue of Lucifer, and it's called the Genius of Evil. And when you look closely, there are some pretty unmistakable similarities between this statue and a certain statue in the NYC. Let's start by examining this chain attached to Lucifer's ankle. Could that be a symbol of being imprisoned in the bottomless pit for 1,000 years? And you probably have never noticed, but I sure did. A very similar chain attached to that Statue of Liberty. And when you look at the faces of those two seemingly unrelated statues, they sure bear an awful similar resemblance. And did you happen to notice what Lucifer was holding in his hand in that statue? A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 point crown? Well, have you ever noticed how many points are in the Statue of Liberty's crown? And did you happen to notice what type of fruit was hanging out in the bottom of that statue as well? And well, I really don't have to go here, do I? And although small, and at the very bottom of the statue, did you notice this torch laying on the ground? That torch that just also happens to bear a very similar resemblance? That torch that Lucifer, the light bearer, is often depicted with right in plain sight. So much in plain sight that you probably look right past it and might even unknowingly be rooting for it. But nah, it's all just a coincidence. They just happen to look alike and have the same pointed crown and the same torch and the same association with an apple and the same chain. Just a big coincidence. Just the way this is all a coincidence too. No one really worships any fallen angels and pays tribute to them through characters that a lot of people look up to. Just like the Vatican would never actually call their telescope Lucifer. It's just all jokes. It's all for fun. It's all entertainment. But stay tuned for some more information on that. But like I said, this was all for shits and gigs, for your entertainment, because that's all I am. Satire and entertainment purposes only.
What you've been told about Lucifer is one of the biggest lies of them all. Lucifer is not Satan. You've been conditioned to think Lucifer is the devil, the ruler of hell, the tempter of mankind. But here's the shocking truth. The word Lucifer shows up one time. That's it in old versions of the Bible as a translation error. And even where it does appear in old versions as a mistranslation, it wasn't talking about the devil at all. It was talking about a Babylonian king. The word Lucifer isn't even some spooky demon name. It's Latin for lightbringer or morning star. Jesus himself says, I am the root and the offspring of David and the bright and morning star. So if Lucifer equals morning star and Jesus equals morning star, then why the hell are we told Lucifer is Satan? That's not even in the Bible. That's pure propaganda. But here's the truth. Lucifer isn't the enemy. Lucifer is the archetype of the lightbringer, the eternal figure who brings light, knowledge, and awakening.
Why would Lady Gaga be praising Lucifer on national TV?
Sometimes they don't want to.
Pay
and
attention.
Gaga, we can't get, the frequency's weird, and, it's sounding a little bit strange. And I'm like, if you don't get this right now, I swear to Lucifer,
And she swears to Lucifer.
I get a little bit mad.
Do you have a kitchen on the bus you cook? Right. So her reaction was, she swore to Lucifer that if you don't get these frequencies right, you gonna get fucked up. That's basically what she just said. That's crazy. And these celebrities, when they win awards, what do they think? God. You're God full of shit. That's a man-made created word. God was meant to be worshipped, not the creator, not the source, not the divine, No, that's not the same thing. I don't care what nobody say.
Oh, you son of a Babylonian. What have you done? This is DEFCON 1. And brother, this is why I don't go to these places. What in the Babylonian Baal worship is this? They seem to have 4 different fake gods, and people are dancing, singing, and praising. Now I don't know what's going on. I don't go to these type of functions. But brother, this is how you can lose your soul.
lose your soul in one instant. So, brother, if I was you, I would stay far, far away.
I don't know what's scarier anymore at this point. The fact that there are people in our government and the world powers who are partaking in these satanic activities, or the fact that there are people in the government and our world powers who are partaking in these satanic activities and no one else thinks that they are doing this. And like, if you see this video, this is probably tailored to your algorithm. You probably subscribe to this. You know what I'm talking about. Majority of people will call you crazy. It's over, bro. There's no winning. Jesus is the only one. The Bible says that don't worry, that you in the world you have tribulation, but don't worry, I've already overcome the world. Only through Jesus is there victory. Because quite literally, y'all, the kings are all in Satan's hand. And they know it. Like, they know Satan exists. Like, they're not just people who rose up through the political career and the political ranks. Like, these are Satan, Molech, Baal worshipers. But I'm crazy, right? I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, you just got to look out at the world and see everything as it's taking place, as it's transpiring. Look up, knowing your redemption draws nigh. That's about all you can do. Because the way everything's tailored, the way everything just fits together, the masses will never believe until it's too late. And it's all said and done.
I figured this would be one that we'd end up covering, and unfortunately, it will probably be one of the saddest ones. Katy Perry, otherwise known as Katherine Hudson. How did this sweet, innocent little girl who was raised by Christian parents end up turning into who she is today? Well, let's start by showing you who she was when she got started in the industry. So yes, Katy Perry actually started her career by singing Christian music, but it didn't last for long. And she ended up moving to LA, and that's when things really took a turn for the worse. This was her first major hit. I wouldn't post the music video itself because of the fact that it could be a stumbling block for so many. I mean, you could only imagine how disgusting it really is. I mean, but this is a clear mockery, right? Homosexuality or bisexuality going directly against what the word of Yah says. And then she comes out and all of a sudden now she's got the Eye of Horus. I mean, it's all the same symbolism. They all do the same stuff, right? But she starts becoming like this goddess. And this is exactly what the enemy wants. He takes these innocent women and he brings them into his territory and turns them into goddesses for the people that are watching on TV that worship these people. And there's just so many weird things with Katy Perry. I mean, she had this weird eye glitch incident that is a whole nother rabbit hole by itself. But what was most disturbing to me was this video right here.
And this little mobile.
This is her baby's nursery.
These little lights. Do you want to see an outfit?
Not really.
Do you want to see an outfit?
A little bit creepy right now. It's like someone's crying out or something. It's really weird. Really weird. I believe Katy Perry has demons, and she's also been in contact with fallen angels, and that's what we're going to cover in the next video. So like and follow, and I'll see you there.